Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some massive news Saturday morning for the Oregon Duck fans as Dan Lanning, the Oregon Ducks, continue to fill it up in the 2025 class, landing the commitment from four-star tight end Da'Saahn Brame from the state of Kansas. If I were to sell the Oregon Duck fans on Da'Saahn Brame, which I probably don't need to do, but if I were to try, you kind of go with this. He's 6'6". He's 235 pounds. He moves like a wide receiver and operates after the catch just about as good as any tight end prospect that you'll see in this 2025 cycle. He's a difference maker at the tight end position. You see a lot of tight ends across the country that, are just solid weapons in collegiate offenses. There are very few difference makers. I think Da'Saahn Brame can be a difference maker. And you look at the Oregon tight end room over the next couple of years, Kenny Sadiq going into year 2, Da'Saahn Brame coming into the 2025 class. Oregon likes to run some 12 personnel, 2 tight ends on the field. They're going to have a ton of talent to operate in some of those formations. And you start looking at just the pure talent that is going to be around the quarterback over the next couple of years. Will Stein is going to be absolutely cooking over the next couple of years. And I think the last notable thing about Da'Saahn Brame before we get into the film is this is the second time in the last 24 hours that Dan Lanning has gone head-to-head with a premier SEC program and went out for a top prospect in the 2025 class. Yesterday, Josiah Sharma sounded like he was trending to Texas. Dan Lanning comes in late, gets that one done. Da'Saahn Brame, over the last couple of days, sounded like Tennessee was gaining some momentum. Dan Lanning coming in late, getting the job done once again. One of the best closers on the recruiting trail that you see in the country. I'm fired up about this kid, fired up to get into the film. Before we do it, as always, massive shout out to the Oregon Duck fans. It's been just an absolute blast covering this program over the last couple of days on the recruiting trail. A lot of commitment breakdowns to go through. The Oregon commitment sweatshirt is getting some absolute work over the last couple of days, and the amount of support that you guys have been throwing in the comment section, it absolutely means the world. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Da'Saahn Brame. And again, you just start with the pure athletic traits that this kid has. I mean, 6'6", 235, and he looks all of 235 pounds. The build is certainly there. But then what stands out to me is how this kid moves. I mean, he is essentially looks like a wide receiver when you turn on the film, how fluid he is going up and attacking the football as well. I mean, there's just a wide variety of ways that you can get Da'Saahn Brame used in this Oregon offense. And you go back to Oregon under Will Stein in 2023, how they used a guy like Ferguson. This is not a shot at Ferguson. I think Da'Saahn Brame might just be a higher quality athlete. And you look at how leaking Ferguson out into the flat, letting him operate with the football in space, letting Ferguson control the middle of the field. Da'Saahn Brame can do all of those different things. He's a guy that if you want to put a linebacker on him in coverage, he's going to run right by him. You want to put a defensive back on him in coverage at 6'6", 235 pounds. Good luck to a lot of defensive backs dealing with the physicality in the frame that Da'Saahn Brame has. This is a unicorn. It's a matchup nightmare in this Oregon Ducks offense. And you turn on the film, and again, I think what stands out to me the most is how fluid he is as a mover. Now, this first rep, you're just going to see him go be a physical body at the catch point. Again, you want to put a defensive back on Da'Saahn Brame. Just throw the football up to him, double coverage. I'm going to go up, make a play. The body control, the hand-eye coordination, it's special. He can work the middle of the field too, just being kind of that big body. And then after the catch, I mean, this kid's a hammer. I mean, he's a big target that you can work the middle of the field with. He's going to make people miss in space, and he's going to run over some defensive backs too. There are just so many different ways that Da'Saahn Brame is a weapon in this Oregon Ducks offense. Getting a little inline here where he's going to be matched up with the safety, and that is a matchup that you'd be a little bit nervous of if you're a defensive coordinator. What stands out to me here is, one, getting some inline reps. That's absolutely massive. We don't see a lot of tight end prospects have much inline experience. But the second thing you're going to see is, I mean, he's going to win athletically. He's going to run right by this defensive back. He's going to make this defensive back look slow. And then when it comes to getting into the open grass, he can make those big chunk plays. Again, he's a matchup nightmare that just a lot of defensive backs are going to have a lot of hard time dealing with. And at the end of the day, I would say, name me certain defensive backs that can just deal with Da'Saahn Brame from an athletics trait standpoint. No sleeves in the winter. Absolutely love that with the Oregon Ducks going into the Big Ten. I think this kid is going to be a difference maker for this Oregon Ducks offense. And again, with Will Stein, how many ways you can get him involved? We're just going to slip him out for a screen. Look at the juice that he has getting going. I mean, this looks like a wide receiver with the football in his hands. If you take a bad angle on him, he's going to run right by you. He's a big guy that can deal with contact. I think this kid's a difference maker. You'll see a little end around here. Again, getting him involved in different ways, kind of like Kenny Sadiq, end arounds, screens, let him have the football in space, let him go to work and operate. Love the no sleeves in the winter. And you take a look at Oregon in 2025 and say two things. One, we're loading up on blue chip talent. But I think more importantly, Dan Lanning is recruiting nationally. You start scrolling down this list, your top commit, Dallas Wilson from the state of Florida. You're obviously cleaning up the state of California. Zaire Addison, Florida Cat, one of the top offensive linemen in that state, coming to Eugene. You continue to scroll down, doing a nice job in the Midwest with guys like Daire Hill. You got Brandon Finney coming from Maryland, Isaiah Mose coming from Missouri. This is an Oregon program that no player, no region is off limits. And I think Dan Lanning's doing a phenomenal job picking his spots across the country and what guys to really turn the heat up on. And you start looking at this class and say, this whole roster, this whole 2025 class is built on blue chip prospects that are top 300 national prospects. If you're an Oregon fan, I think you have to be so fired up about the talent acquisition that we're seeing with Dan Lanning, not only getting it done in the transfer portal, but consistently bringing in top 5 classes as well, trending for multiple 5-star prospects that will break down the commitments if and when they happen. If you're Oregon, you're fired up about what Dan Lanning is doing on the recruiting trail. Da'Saahn Brame, a difference maker in this Oregon offense. We'll cut it there. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later.